Engineering, extend a warm welcome to each one of you to the inaugural ceremony of the International Conference on Health Informatics, Intelligent Systems and Network Technologies, HINT 2025, organized by the School of Computer Engineering, MIT Manipal. With immense pride in the success of HINT 24 and the publication of its proceedings in Springer, we now bring before you the second edition of our conference HINT 25. We come together once again to celebrate research, innovation and collaboration. We are truly honored to have with us an eminent gathering of guests. Dr. Vijay Chandru, co-founder of CRISPR Private Limited, as our chief guest. Mr. Jayant Lakavalli, Vice President AI Solutions, Schneider Electric, and Dr. Harish Kumar S., Director Corporate Relations, Mahe, as our guests of honor. Dr. Chandrakala CB, Honorable Joint Director of MIT, who presides over this inaugural function as the President of the event. I request Dr. Radhika Mpai, Dr. Radhakrishna Bhatt and Dr. Kishore B. to kindly escort our distinguished guests to the dais. It is part of our cherished tradition to seek the blessings of the Almighty before we embark upon any significant endeavor. I now invite Ms. Jimsimol James, faculty from the School of Computer Engineering, to deliver the invocation. I request everyone to please remain seated.
श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललितांबिकये भुवनेश्वरी श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललितांबिकये भुवनेश्वरी आगम वेद कलामय रूपिणी आगम वेद कलामय रूपिणी अखिल चराचर जननी नारायणी अखिल चराचर जननी नारायणी नाद कंकण नटराज मनोहरी ज्ञान विद्येश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी श्री ललितांबिकये பலவிதமாயுன்னை பாடவும் ஆடவும் பாடிக்கொண்டாடும் அன்பர் பதமலர் சூடவும் பலவிதமாயுன்னை பாடவும் ஆடவும் பாடிக்கொண்டாடும் அன்பர் பதமலர் சூடவும் உலகு முழுதும் என்னை தகுமுறை காணவும் உலகு முழுதும் என்னை தகுமுறை காணவும் ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி श्री चक्रराज सिंहासनेश्वरी ശ്രീലളിതാംബികയേ ഭുവനേശ്വരി ആഗമവേദകലാമയരൂപിണി അഖിലചരാചര ജനനി നാരായണി നാദകങ്കണ നടരാജ മനോഹരി ജ്ഞാനവിദ്യേശ്വരി രാജരാജേശ്വരി ശ്രീചക്രരാജ സിംഹാസനേശ്വരി ശ്രീലളിതാംബികയേ.
Thank you, Miss Jim Simone, for the soulful invocation. A ray of light is a ray of hope. It dispels darkness and symbolizes knowledge. I now request all the dignitaries on the dais to light the lamp, marking the symbolic inauguration of HINT 2025. I call upon any two participants to also join for the same. Thank you, esteemed guests. As part of our welcome, guests will receive handcrafted roses made by Asare, an initiative by Archana Trust and Mahe that empowers specially abled individuals through creative vocational work, a true symbol of inclusion and appreciation. I now invite Dr. Radhika Empai, Dean, School of Computer Engineering, MIT Manipal, to formally welcome the gathering.
Respected dignitaries, distinguished guests, keynote speakers, colleagues, industry experts, researchers, and dear participants, a very good morning to you all. On behalf of the School of Computer Engineering, it's my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the inaugural ceremony of International Conference on Health Informatics, Intelligent Systems, and Network Technologies, HINT 2025. This conference marks a significant step in our collective efforts to explore the transformative power of technology in healthcare and beyond. The convergence of health informatics, intelligent systems, and network technologies represents a frontier of immense potential, one that promises to enhance patient care, optimize healthcare delivery, and support data-driven decision-making in ways previously unimaginable. This conference provides a vibrant platform for such collaboration, fostering the exchange of knowledge, ideas, and innovations that help us address real-world challenges in healthcare and technology integration. At the outset, I extend a warm welcome to the chief guest of this function, Dr. Vijay Chandru, co-founder of CRISPBITS Private Limited, who has accepted our invitation and is amongst us. A hearty welcome to Mr. Jayant Lakavalli, Vice President AI Solutions, Schneider Electric Digital, Bangalore, who is the guest of honor for today's function and has graced this despite his busy schedule. So we will be having the keynote addresses from both of them on emerging topics later on after this inaugural function. We have with us Dr. Harish Kumar, Director Corporate Relations, Mahi Manipal, as the guest of honor. A warm welcome to you. Hearty welcome to Dr. Maud Turner, Data Science Director, AI Solutions, Schneider Electric Digital, who will be inaugurating the Innovation Day Project Expo outside the hall after the inaugural function. The function is presided by the Joint Director, who has supported us in all our events. A hearty welcome to you, ma'am. I extend a cordial welcome to all Associate Directors, HODs, Associate Deans, faculty, students, researchers, and the delegates who have graced the occasion. A warm welcome to the conveners, Dr. Kishore and Dr. Radhakrishna Bhatt, co-conveners, Dr. Deepa and Dr. Anup, organizing committee members, and all faculty and staff of School of Computer Engineering who have toiled to make this event happen. So last but not the least, I welcome one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your warm and gracious words of welcome. We also extend a floral welcome to you, madam. I now request Dr. Radhakrishna Bhatt, convener, HINT’25, to share a brief overview of the conference.
Good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed researchers, industry leaders, and passionate innovators. So, being the convener of HINT’25, it's my great honor and privilege to introduce HINT’25. So, as you all know, so we all have gathered here for the second international conference on health informatics, intelligent systems, and networking technologies, HINT’25, at the School of Computer Engineering, Manipal Institute of Technology, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, on October 15th and 16th in hybrid mode. Last year, we hosted the first international conference on health informatics, intelligent systems, and networking technologies, HINT’24, which was held by the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, MIT Manipal, during March 14-15 in hybrid mode, and has been successfully published in Scopus Index Springer proceedings. HINT’25 is dedicated to showcasing the latest advancements in technology and their transformative applications in the field such as computer science, health informatics, artificial intelligence systems, and networking and communication technologies. HINT’25 invited contributions from active researchers and experts in various disciplines to present their original work and innovative findings. HINT’25 encouraged the development of novel ideas and foster collaborations that span across different disciplines, driving progress in multidisciplinary science and engineering. By promoting knowledge sharing and collaboration, HINT’25 aimed to advance technological innovation and its applications in both industry and society. HINT’25 focus on the latest topics in the field of computer science and engineering with the intersection of healthcare and other interdisciplinary techniques. The main tracks of the conference are health informatics, intelligent systems, networking technologies, big data and data mining. All the accepted, registered and presented papers will be submitted for the possible publications in Scopus Index Springer proceedings. So this time, HINT’25 received a remarkable number of papers, 250 papers from authors from different countries, such as from Russia, Japan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Philippines, United States, Vietnam, and of course India, out of which we have selected only 45 papers for the presentation. Among all the presented papers, HINT’25 will announce the best paper awards from each track. HINT’25 invited eminent researchers as session chairs to chair the sessions and evaluate the presentations for the best paper awards. HINT’25 also received 2 invited papers, one from Russia and one from Japan. So HINT’25 also hosts a project expo to showcase the cutting edge research outcomes from the School of Computer Engineering. HINT’25 invited 5 eminent speakers from industry and academia to share the knowledge and expertise, offering the valuable insights into the latest trends, innovations and research. These distinguished speakers will engage with the audience through cutting-edge, thought-provoking discussions, practical case studies and cutting-edge solutions, fostering a collaborative environment that bridges the gap between theoretical advancements and real-world applications. So let us use these 2 days not only to share the knowledge but to spark a new collaborations and inspire actions. We conveners hope that HINT’25 offers you a unique platform to engage in enriching discussions, exchanging the innovative ideas and forge the valuable connections with the professionals, researchers and thought leaders from across the globe. So we are confident that your participation in this event will be an enriching and transformative experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for setting the context and vision for this event. We have with us Mr. Jayant Lakavalli, Vice President AI Solutions, Schneider Electric, as our guest of honor, who will be delivering a keynote session later in the day. Also, we have with us Ms. Maud, Data Science Director, Schneider Electric, as a special guest who will be inaugurating the Project Expo. We have with us Dr. Harish Kumar S., Director, Corporate Relations, MAHE, who is also Professor in the Chemical Engineering Department of MIT Manipal, as the guest of honor. I now invite Dr. Harish Kumar to address the gathering.
Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Vijay Chandra, Guest of Honor, Mr. Jayant Lakavalli, President of this function, Dr. Chandrakala, Professor and Dean of School of Computer Engineering, Dr. Radhika Pai, Associate Deans, Dr. Siddhalinga Swami and Dr. Smita Pai, conveners, the backbone of this conference, Dr. Kishore, Dr. Radha Krishna Bhatt, Senior Professor Dr. Manohar Pai, all senior professors from the School of Computer Science, Computer Engineering, faculty members, industry leaders, my dear students, a very good morning to all of you and warm greetings from Manipal Academy of Higher Education, an institution of eminence deemed to be university. It is indeed an honor and privileged to be with you this morning at the inaugural ceremony of this International Conference on Health Informatics, Intelligent Systems and Networking Technologies, the HINT 2025, organized by School of Computer Science, Computer Engineering, MIT, Manipal. First and foremost, I congratulate the organizing committee for bringing together such a distinguished gathering of researchers, industry professionals, and the young minds from across India and beyond. So now, if you see the present scenario, we are meeting at a fascinating moment in human history, a time when technology, health, and connectivity are converging like never before. As you know, MAHE is Manipal Academy of Higher Education, one of the largest multidisciplinary campus. You name any higher education programs at MAHE, it is there, excepting veterinary science and agricultural science. So far, we have not ventured for these two domains. The rest, you name, it is there at MAHE, in all four campuses, Bengaluru, Mangaluru, Jamshedpur, and Dubai, and also in Malaysia. So the theme of this conference, Health Informatics, Intelligent Systems and Networking Technologies, is both visionary and need of the hour. It captures how digital transformation, artificial intelligence, and data connectivity are redefining healthcare and society at large. So, the transformation in the technology which is now taking place with the buzzword artificial intelligence in all the sectors, in industry, domestic, transportation, education, you name anything, we have AI to play a role. Today, AI-driven system assists doctors in diagnosing diseases earlier than ever. You must have seen in the transformation which has happened, because now as Director Corporate Relations, it's a learning phase for me. 2 years it was a big learning because I take care of all the wings of MAHE, including health science, pharmacy, nursing, management, communication. So each and every day is a sort of learning experience. I'm seeing the transformation in the field of healthcare, especially in the field of radiology, how things are transforming. So they're now scared, in the sense radiologists are scared. Over the years, there is no human intervention in case of the identification of diseases through radiodiagnosis. But we have regulations where the medical council will not permit that, but there has to be, a scrutiny and then approval from a radiologist with AI-driven results. So I'm just quoting one of the examples of applications of AI in healthcare. Similarly, the networking technologies connect rural clinics and urban hospitals. Data analytics helps predict outbreaks from they happen. The intelligent automation supports healthcare delivery that is faster, safer, and more exclusive. Friends, this conference becomes even more meaningful because it is held during this year of course, it is an annual event, but it is more special because it is in the year of excellence in industry academia collaborations at MAHE. As you all know, MAHE has a good practice of declaring the year with a theme. Last year was the year of research at MAHE, where we found exponential growth in the field of research and development. So this year, our Honorable Vice Chancellor announced MAHE as the year of excellence in industry academia collaborations. We have numerous industry academia connects collaborations every institution set their goal for industry academia and trying to achieve. So this initiative is a landmark in Mahe's journey, one that recognizes that research excellence thrives where academia and industry intersect. Mahe is building bridges with leading industries, healthcare and organizations. So that is my role in the Office of Corporate Relations. We have to have corporate connects for various activities, maybe in technology, health science, pharmacy, or management. So how can we connect apart from the regular placements and internships, what we look for, especially in engineering domain, which is a measure of graduation outcome of a student, including higher studies and entrepreneurship. So one is bridging this gap by inviting industry experts in academia. See, in most of the time, in the developing countries, we talk about the gap between industry and academia. What we teach, what we preach may not be practiced. So that is the scenario. So unless you bring industry experts to the academia in various avenues, it is difficult to bridge that gap between industry and academia, especially in the engineering domain I'm talking about. So we have various avenues of inducting industry experts as adjunct faculty, visiting faculty, professors of practice, which is a recent mandate from UGC, even the industry advisory. I think we are the one who started this industry advisory when I was associate director at MIT. We laid down the policy for industry advisory committee. So these are all useful avenues for bridging the gap between industry and academia. Sorry, excuse me, I had a cough and a cold. And the joint research, we have a lot of avenues with industry-driven research. Of course, the conventional academic research are happening. How to connect industry for real-world problem solving through research. So we have various avenues, recognizing the centers, having collaborative research, part-time PhD programs. So these are some of the avenues which we have done. Internships and industry-driven curricula, preparing students to the future workplace, bringing industry experts in the curriculum revision. And also we encourage work-integrated learning. So it's happening. Schneider is one of the examples where we have work-integrated learning for masters in information technology. Like that we have companies like Cipla, Walmart. Even we are going with MRPL to have work-integrated learning for their diploma employees to get BTech degree. And also we promote all these competency development programs. A healthcare engineer who is working in the domain of medtech should have a clinical exposure in hospitals. So Philips, Becton Dickinson is our strong partner. We trained about 140 Philips engineers in clinical immersion, and about 100, more than 100. It's going on. It's a routine process where all domains, it can be ambulatory monitoring or ultrasound, they have mobile surgery. So these are some of the wings where engineers do research. So unless they know the clinical background of what they are doing, suppose if they are into development of cardiac monitoring, they should know what is cardiology, at least basic science behind heart. So that is the structured program. It's again a revenue generating model which we have, but still it is win-win for both industry and academia to have such programs. And also we solve industry problems. Industry problems, the real world problems solved in academia. Samsung is our major partner where we have Prism. When I was associate director, we introduced Dell, Intel, Shell Technologies, SABIC. So their real world applications, the problems which they are solving, they give it to us in terms of problem statements. We try to solve it. And also Mahe being a charitable trust, we are into a CSR, corporate social responsibility. We have done a lot of philanthropic initiatives through CSR. I'm happy to say that last year we got about 10 crores with CSR funding for various projects like treating children suffering with cancer, because nowadays the pediatric cancer in a small children is increasing, and the patients coming from North Karnataka, then they cannot afford that expensive Medicare. So we drive through this CSR. Last year we treated about more than 15 children through this CSR. So like that, even mental health or establishment of some of the centers, bone bank, mother's milk bank, we have established through CSR, because the newly born baby is deprived of mother's milk. So there is a way of getting from donor mother and then pasteurizing and then keeping it safe for 6 months, done through CSR. And we are getting on 20th the eye clinic, the mobile eye clinic, where the entire eye, full-fledged eye mobile unit can go to rural areas and then take care of these people from rural sectors who have eye issues and treat them. So this is one of the, again, I'm just quoting some few who have societal impact. And startup ecosystem at Mahe, we take care, industries will handhold our students, faculty, etc. Like this, we can go on talking about the initiatives with respect to industry, academia. HINT is it embodies exactly this spirit by bringing together experts in health informatics, artificial intelligence, networking, and data science. This conference become a melting pot of ideas where computer engineers converge with clinicians, data scientists, collaborate with policy experts and young researchers, learn from industry leaders. So I would like to just quote one example of this interdisciplinary the project. You must have heard about it because computer school is the contributor. So with the Prime Minister's vision of establishing 3 major centers of excellence, one is in healthcare, one is in agriculture, and one more is in the sustainable cities. So Mahe has become a consortium partner in establishing the healthcare, center of excellence in healthcare in the cardiology space. So it is basically early diagnosis of coronary diseases using AI applications. So we are the only private university in this consortium, along with 2 IITs, IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, AIMS at New Delhi, and IISc Bengaluru. Mahe is the only university which is considered by Government of India with an investment of 300 crores in the second phase. Probably may get around 60 to 70 crores. I think the professor from computer science, Dr. Manjunath, is from engineering side, Dr. Ganesh, who is a cardiologist, and also a certified AI professional from IIT Madras. He's again driving from health science. So this is the integration of health and technology which is happening, which is a proud moment. This is presented by me as a case study in Confederation of Indian Industry. So now I'm happy to say that this is taken as one of the case studies in the compendium of this year of Confederation of Indian Industry in the summit, which is going to happen in the month of December. We'll be witnessing that in New Delhi. So this is one of the classic example. I would like to quote the contribution of School of Computer Engineering in this mission. So I have many more to do. Anyway, with the time constraint, I wish and commend the conveners, Dr. Radhakrishna Bhatt, Dr. Kishore, for the entire organizing team, for all the faculty and student volunteers who have worked tirelessly to bring this HINT to life. I also congratulate all the paper presenters, keynote speakers, the resource persons, and also soon the features in the Springer lecture notes in networks and systems, a testament to the quality of global relevance to this event. My appreciation also extends to the participating institutions and industries that have partnered with Mahe in this endeavor. Your presence adds depth and direction to academic pursuits. In closing, let me say this: the strength of university lies not just in its building or ranking, but in the connections it creates. That is very important, the networking it builds between the knowledge and application, between the people and purpose, and between research and real world impact. MAHE 2025, the Year of Excellence in Industry Academia Collaboration, is more than institutional milestone. It's a movement towards new academic culture, one that celebrates innovation born out of partnership. I am confident that HINT’25 will inspire many such partners and contribute meaningfully to the advancement of technology and society. Let us continue to work together, academia, industry, and the government, the policy makers, to make research more relevant, innovation more inclusive, and collaboration more impactful. Thank you once again for this opportunity to be a part of this inspiring beginning. I wish the conference grand success and lasting influence. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for the great overview. I request Dr. Guru Raj to kindly introduce our chief guest, Dr. Vijay Chandru, to the gathering.
Dignitaries on and off the stage, ladies and gentlemen, good morning everyone. It's my privilege to introduce the chief guest of today's function, Dr. Vijay Chandru, co-founder CRISPR-Bits Private Limited. Dr. Chandru received his bachelor's degree from BITS Pilani in Electrical Engineering and Master of Science from UCLA in Engineering Systems and a PhD from the MIT Operations Research Center in 1982. Professor Vijay is a distinguished academic entrepreneur who has pioneered deep technology entrepreneurship in India for the last 25 years. His academic journey, anchored in the decision sciences, now loosely referred as AI, by a PhD in operations research from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, spans the computational mathematics of optimization, geometry, logic, and biology. As an infotech entrepreneur, Vijay co-founded Pico Computers, that is handled computing in 2001, and Yantri Labs Inc. in algorithmic trading in 2018. In life sciences, he co-founded Strand Life Sciences in 2000 as a pioneering genomics-based precision medicine solutions company, and CRISPR-Bits, a CRISPR platform company for driving novel synthetic biology solutions in India. He is on the faculty of NCBS and CBR at IISc Bengaluru and the HSPS at Harvard Boston. He tenured a tenured technology professor at Purdue University and the IISc Bengaluru. The American Association for the Advancements in Science, on its 150th anniversary in 2024, named Professor Chandru as the 15th Indian scientist elected as a fellow for his global impact in theoretical computer sciences, computational biology, and technology for social good. Dr. Vijay was named a technology pioneer of the World Economic Forum in 2006. He personally drives the social impact mission No Disease Orphan by 2030. As a commissioner of the recent Lancet Commission on Citizen-Based Health Systems for India, Vijay co-chaired the technology work stream. Professor Vijay is driven by the vision that the 21st century is about convergence of human-engineered intelligence and re-engineered biology, and the mission is to rewrite biology, redefine health, and reimagine the planet, with India taking the rightful place with sovereign technology in the Committee of Nations. With this brief introduction, I present before you the chief guest of today's function, Professor Dr. Vijay Chandru. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Very happy to be here. I'm back in Manipal after a few years. I came here earlier to address the School of Biotechnology and Bioengineering some time ago. So Dr. Harish Kumar, wonderful to hear about all the developments and the initiatives of MAHE and and the School of Computer Engineering. Kishore and Dr. Bhatt, I know that running these conferences is not simple. And many years ago, when I was more of a core academic, we used to run the Indian Association for Research in Computer Science. And we ran a conference called FST TCS. And Springer used to publish the proceedings. And it was, every year was a serious effort. Like you pointed out, hundreds of papers would be submitted. You'd have to be careful about the selection process, reviewing, and only then would Springer sort of give you this stamp of approval, right? And so those proceedings used to be published in the lecture notes in computer science series. So very fond memories of doing that. Also, some not so fond memories of some of the challenges. But this is extraordinary, of course, to bring together health informatics, intelligent systems, and networking technologies in one platform. And I'm going to say a lot about that in the subsequent session in the morning. So I'm just going to pick on one example, something that we can all relate to. Can you think of one example in India that actually made a big difference to all our lives? That actually brought together health informatics, intelligent systems, and networking technologies? COVID, of course. And during COVID, what do you think? What was this integration of technologies? What was that solution that we provided? Can you think of what was spectacular that India did by bringing together these technologies? It was CoWIN. CoWIN, the portal, the digital infrastructure, public digital infrastructure that was put together to vaccinate 2 billion, 2 billion vaccines were actually deployed in a very rapid period. And the technologies that had to come together to make that happen, there was enormous amount of focus on health informatics because, you had to be careful about certain vulnerable populations and, how about vaccinating them. You had to have, extraordinary, capabilities in supply chain management. There was, cold chains had to be maintained in order to get these vaccines around. In fact, in Kerala, I think they even use blockchain to actually, make sure that, the vaccine vials were actually traceable and you could actually do all of that at that level of granularity. And of course, the fact that we had built our entire Aadhaar infrastructure, the unique ID project for all citizens, and this had been built on our mobile technologies, right? And the fact that you could actually schedule your appointment for a vaccination just simply from a feature phone. You didn't even need a smartphone, right? That to me was an extraordinary solution that engineers like all of us actually just put together to actually make possible, right? And I think the future of this type of integration is extraordinary, and best wishes for a successful conference, and talk to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking insights. We recognize the presence of Dr. UC Niranjan, Director, Research and Training at Manipal.net to this event. Heartily welcome, dear sir. Now we will proceed further for the unveiling of the second proceedings of HINT 2025. I request all the dignitaries on the dais to release the HINT 25 proceedings. Thank you everyone. As a token of our gratitude and appreciation, we would now like to present mementos to our distinguished guests. I request Dr. Harish Kumar sir to kindly present the memento to our chief guest Dr. Vijay Chandru. I request Dr. Chandrakala ma'am to present the memento to our guest of honor, Mr. Jayant Lakavalli. I request Dr. Radhika ma'am to present the memento to our special guest, Miss Maud. Thank you everyone. We are honored to have with us Dr. Chandrakala CB, Joint Director MIT, as the president of today's function. I now invite Dr. Chandrakala ma'am to deliver the presidential address.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Team MIT, I warmly welcome each one of you to HINT 2025. The International Conference on Health Informatics, Intelligent Systems and Networking Technologies. Greetings to all the distinguished guests who are here, esteemed faculty members, senior faculty members of School of Computer Engineering, deans, associate dean, art, participants and students. This year's conference is particularly meaningful as it aligns closely with the three important pivotal sustainable development goals. One is good health and well-being, second one being quality education, and third one being industry, innovation and infrastructure. These goals resonate deeply with the vision of our institution, MIT, wherein we say we try to foster a learning ecosystem where academic research, technological innovation, and societal applications converge harmoniously. In an era where healthcare is increasingly digitized, events like HINT’25 serve as a crucial platforms for collaboration, bringing together academia, industry, global challenges, health informatics, and policymakers. When you look into health informatics today, it forms the backbone of modern healthcare systems, enabling seamless integration and analysis of diverse data sets, from electronic health records to genomic information, which was spoken a little while ago, to facilitate evidence-based decision making. The true potential of these systems is realized only when we go in for integrating with intelligent and securing network technologies. However, when you look into these kind of systems, I say with a basic great innovation comes greater responsibility. It is essential that we uphold ethical practices, ensure equitable access to emerging technologies, and fortify systems against misuse and vulnerabilities. So we have lots of sessions, guest lectures, which have been scheduled along with paper presentations and poster presentations from many of the participants. And I think it's going to be a culmination of a distinguished ecosystem which involves health informatics, intelligent systems, and network technologies. I convey my sincere appreciation to the organizing team for bringing together such an eminent gathering and for curating an agenda which is designed exclusively to catalyze meaningful collaborations and foster scientific exchange. Let us make most of this platform to ask questions, provoking questions actually, share pioneering ideas, and collectively work toward technologies that basically advance individual well-being and societal resilience. My best wishes for all the deliberations ahead, and I hope you're going to be having a very nice day for these 2 days. Learn and also relearn so many things. Thank you once again and have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am, for your encouraging and visionary words. As we reach the conclusion of this inaugural ceremony, let us remember that gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul, a quote by Henry Ward Beecher. To express our gratitude to all who made this event possible, I invite Dr. Kishore B., convener, HINT 2025, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It is indeed my privilege and honor to deliver the vote of thanks as the convener of the International Conference on Health Informatics, Intelligent Systems and Networking Technologies, HINT '25, organized by the School of Computer Engineering, MIT, Manipal. At the outset, I extend my deepest gratitude to our chief guest, Dr. Vijay Chandru, for taking time out of your busy schedule to grace this occasion and also accepting to deliver the inaugural keynote address. Your inspiring words have truly set the tone for the conference and motivated everyone present here. Our heartfelt thanks to the guests of honor for joining us and gracing the occasion with your presence. We are deeply grateful to Dr. Harish Kumar S. for addressing the gathering with inspiring remarks, and to Sri Jayant, who will be delivering a keynote session following the inauguration. We take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to our Director Commander Dr. Anil Rana, Joint Director Dr. Chandrakala ma'am, for their constant guidance, leadership and encouragement. Our special thanks to Associate Directors and the heads of various departments for their support and presence. A special word of appreciation to the participants, authors and delegates who have joined us from academia, research organizations and industry, both in person and virtual. Your enthusiasm and scholarly contributions form the very heart of HINT '25. We would also extend our sincere appreciation to the Director General Services, the Transport Department, the security team for their excellent coordination and logistics arrangements. Our thanks also goes to audiovisual team, the public relations, print and media team where efforts have ensured seamless technological execution, coverage and outreach for the event. Thanks to Professor Jimsy for leading us into the session with a soulful invocation. We gratefully acknowledge the contribution of today's anchor, Professor Ancilla, for conducting this inauguration event with grace and confidence. The tireless work of the organizing committee members, faculty coordinators, student volunteers, and every member of the support staff who worked behind the scenes to make this event success, we acknowledge you. If I have inadvertently missed mentioning anyone, please accept my sincere appreciation and gratitude. Once again, thank you one and all for your participation and presence. We look forward to an engaging and intellectually stimulating 2 days of discussions, research presentations, and collaboration under the HINT’25 banner. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you to you too, dear sir. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural ceremony of HINT 2025. Thank you all for your gracious presence and active participation. We wish you an inspiring day ahead and a conference filled with insightful discussions and meaningful collaborations. I invite everyone to take part in the high tea served right outside this venue. This will be followed by a keynote address by Dr. Vijay Chandru. I request you all to be back in next 15 minutes. There will be the inauguration of the Innovation Day Project Expo in a moment. Please take part in the same. Have a wonderful day.
We have Mark Turno. She's a data scientist and as well as a data science director at Schneider Electric. She is going to inaugurate this Project Expo now. This Project Expo is to commemorate the birthday of our earlier President Dr. Abdul Kalam. So India has directed for celebrating this day as a this Innovation Day in across the country. So that's where we are inaugurating this. Please visit and grace the occasion. Thank you.
everyone to the first keynote session for the day by Dr. Vijay Chandru on the topic Tech Bio and Universal Healthcare for a Vikshit Bharat. I request Dr. Vijay to take over.
Okay, so I think after an exciting inaugural, we can now settle down to some real stuff. I come from the Indian Institute of Science, and today's talk will connect some of the dots on various organizations and programs that I'm involved in. I think universal healthcare, everyone understands. Vikshit Bharat, of course, has been sort of the slogan of the day, right? So we all know that we're all looking to somehow become a developed nation, and by 2047, which is sort of the vision. And of course, tech bio is kind of slightly, I would say, niche idea, but we'll try to see what it means. I think it's important to understand that AI is actually now, how old do you think AI is? 75? Yeah. I think, we by and large associate AI, the birth of AI, with the seminal paper by Alan Turing in The Mind. He talked about intelligence of machines and the idea of the Turing test, conceived in that paper, 1950, where you could actually see if a machine can do as well as the human. Certain domains. There was actually a rigorous structure to the Turing test, as it was called. The areas that we are talking about in the conference is health informatics and intelligent systems and networking, network technology. So I think related to this is the whole fact that AI in medicine is kind of where we want to see what are the opportunities and how all these technologies will come together to make AI in medicine a reality. Now again, I think, when I was a PhD student, just 50 years ago, that this idea was not new. Artificial intelligence in medicine was actually being developed in a serious way. And in fact, one of the volumes of the American Association for the Advancement of Science was dedicated to AI in medicine in 1979. And in fact, this is edited by Peter Slovitz. Yeah. He actually still teaches at MIT. I met him just a couple of years back. This is MIT Cambridge. So the whole idea in those days was, could we actually develop these rule-based systems, expert systems, that could actually assist physicians or actually replace them. And so that, I think this morning in the inaugural there was this mention of radiology somehow becoming so, AI being so good at radiology that perhaps, there is a threat to the profession because things will get automated. I don't think we should think of it as a threat, but think of it as a productivity enhancement. That some of the routine, aspects of radiology will be taken over by AI, but there would still be a lot of corner cases that would need to be decided by someone with real training in radiology. Now, the interesting thing that happened was that the expert systems that were developed in those days using these rule-based, they were called certainty factor computations, so that you could actually could derive by firing these rules. These rules were written in the syntax of HON clauses. And HON clauses, have a sort of a forward chaining logical reduction mechanism. And through that you could actually compute these certainty factors. And you would actually come out with predictions or various diagnoses and analysis. I think there were many such attempts. And unfortunately, by about mid-1980s, it was decided that this whole approach had not succeeded. And it failed not because of the limitations of knowledge, phenomenological, not anatomical. The anatomical knowledge was easy to encode, but the phenomenological knowledge was not. And similarly, physiological, molecular, all of these things could be encoded, but getting the phenomenological knowledge in was not straightforward. And because in some sense a lot of that knowledge was in text, and actually being able to convert that text into rule-based systems was harder. Right? This led to what is in our profession called the Great AI Winter. And between 1985 and about 2009, no AI researcher was funded. AI was, as I said, dead in the water. And so in some ways, many of you will have no memory of what happened, because for many of us, it seems like AI is a Johnny-come-lately, right? It's a new buzzword. It's a new trend. But it's important to keep this history in mind, because it's you have to have some humility, right? And not just think that AI is going to conquer everything. And so sometimes it's worth actually just being aware of history of how technology develops, some of the challenges, how it overcomes them, and so on. So what happened to really help AI become so exciting? What happened was, in some sense, Moore's law was running. And therefore, computing was becoming cheaper, faster, and scale. Around 2009, around the mid-2000s, 2005, 2006, we reached a certain transition point in Moore's law.
It's called the second half of the chessboard. So what do you know about Moore's law? Every 18 months, compute doubles. The power of compute doubles. The cost of compute halves. Right? So if you're filling the chessboard by doubling the number of grains from 1 to 2 to 4 and so forth, where do you think you will be at the 32nd square? The 32nd square, you'll be at 2 raised to the power 32, which is approximately 4 billion. So after 32 doublings, the power of computing has gone up 4 billion fold. That's what it means to have exponential technology, right? And so by about 2006 or so, you had these companies trying to build graphical processing units for gaming. So for Xbox, for games, computer games. And GPUs were the construct that NVIDIA came up with for the Xbox. It was cheap enough now, in terms of the electronics, to actually have a very fast parallel processing units for doing graphical processing, that was needed for gaming. And suddenly these AI guys who had been working in artificial neural networks, and particularly Geoffrey Hinton at the University of Toronto, realized that the algorithms needed for backpropagation, for optimizing the neural network, the synaptic weights of an artificial neural network, which is a stochastic dynamic programming problem. It's basically a dynamic programming problem. Very compute intensive, but very parallelizable, embarrassingly parallel. Therefore, optimizing these networks extremely efficient using these GPUs. And there was a famous challenge called the ImageNet challenge. And he showed that by using deep neural networks, that is multi-layered neural networks, and by optimizing using these GPUs, he won the ImageNet competition. And that began the journey of this new age of AI and revived AI. First there was deep neural networks, which was what Geoffrey Hinton had developed. And then, I think Facebook developed deep face. And now they were optimizing millions of synaptic weights and being able to get an optimal performance for recognition of various types of images, including faces, and so on. So that started the whole engine for AI. And so much so that in 2024, we saw the Nobel Prize in Physics and the Nobel Prize in Chemistry actually go to people who work in this type of deep neural networks. So John Jumper and of course Jim Baker at University of Washington together were given the prize in chemistry because Jumper developed AlphaFold and Baker developed Rosetta Fold, which was very similar. And so they were given it jointly, and Geoffrey Hinton got it for physics because of certain applications in plasma fusion in physics. So AlphaFold is again sort of a turning point. Right? Now, I think of that whole development as the second machine age. And of course, it will continue. We are still see a lot happening with generative AI, with deep learning, and reinforcement learning, and so on. All of that will continue. But the other thing that's happened is that dovetail with these exponential laws in computing, we have exponential laws in biology, and in particular genomics. So you see that the same way in which every 18 months, and Maud has come at the right time, right? Every 18 months you saw the doubling of capabilities in electronic processing, in Moore's law, and suddenly we have Flatley's law that does the same for genomics. And actually, till about 2006, cost of sequencing, or speed of sequencing, essentially kept track of Moore's law. And then after 2007, it actually became faster. Actually, it goes at the square of Moore's law. And again, that's because suddenly certain parallelisms became possible. And essentially what we call next generation sequencing suddenly became possible. And we'll talk more about what this means in terms of applications. But it's important to understand that there are certain trends in technology, and these trends actually lead us to new ways of thinking about how to attack problems. And essentially, around this time, around 2020, you start seeing, the idea that not only can you sequence and read the genomes, but you can actually start editing them. And that was the technology of CRISPR and gene editing and so on, which is from our computer science perspective, it's a cut and paste operation. So we were learning how to read. Now we are saying, okay, now it can be cut and paste and actually change the genetic code. If you change that genetic code, then what would be the implications in the biological system, in the organism, and so on. So that starts synthetic biology. Right? And then we can do microbes by design. It's already happening. Right? So today, when you talk about the biotechnology industry, fermentation, what microbes do you use for the fermentation? How can you actually get higher efficiency in fermentation by actually changing the code, the DNA code of that microbe, creating a new microbe to do that? Can you get a microbe that can eat oil spills and clean the environment? Can you get a microbe to change the quality of the soil and improve agriculture and so on? Right? This is where things are headed, and so that basically is what we are starting to call tech bio. This convergence of, on the one hand, informatics and the understanding of molecular biology, and on the other hand, are actually now starting to be able to engineer. Just to think about it, people who work on policy in sustainability tell us that the planet will become sustainable if we make 40 to 50% of our manufacturing is only of biologically made materials. So think about the whole challenge we have in the environment is plastic. If you could actually make biologically engineered plastics which degrade and which don't cause the problems of microplastic, sort of contamination of our food systems, our water supply, the impact would be huge, right? So can we move more towards, biologically manufactured goods? So it's going way beyond just reading a genome and doing a clinical diagnosis. You could actually be doing, very serious engineering to actually save the planet, not just save humans, right? And when you save the planet, you also save humans. So it's all one health now. It's all related, right? So, so it's not just computing, it's engineering, it's manufacturing, it's chemistry, it's biology, all of this coming together. So this is sometimes called superconvergence, right? There's a book by Jamie Matzel called Superconvergence, which actually talks about how all these disciplines are coming together. One of the challenges for our academic institutions will be, how do we actually prepare people to be able to absorb this transdisciplinarity? Because I think we no longer can think only in silos. Right? We have to think about how to mix all of these disciplines and learn how to, of course, now you have ChatGPT, so you can learn anything you want extremely rapidly. No, I'm just being a little facetious. But I think really it's more a question of how do you get teams together to partner and work. It may not be that a single person is able to span this entire range, but you do need sometimes to be able to put teams together and get this disciplinarity bridging. So I'm not going to go into this figure, but it sort of tells you how this whole thing can change. How you make vaccines, how you do biosurveillance for threats, how do you get into precision fermentation, lab-grown food. As you know now, there's all these ways of growing food from cells. You can actually manufacture food. You can make meat, meat-like substances which are completely made from vegetable protein. So I mean, these types of applications are going to be seen. And of course, one of the things that we learned during COVID and so on is how complex immunology is and how our immune systems respond to things like vaccines and so on. So systems immunology and understanding how immunology works is another great challenge, and going to bring together computing, modeling, and of course understanding how the biological system is operating. I would posit, and I tried to bring that out in the brief inaugural address, that the COVID pandemic has caused a paradigm shift. And I think the previous pandemic, which was in the 1920s or late 19-teens, was of course the Spanish flu. It was only after the Spanish flu happened that the world suddenly woke up to the fact that it didn't matter if you were rich or poor, or if you were born of a strong family or a weak family, a pandemic affects you. And therefore, suddenly the idea that you needed to look at public health, became possible, because that was when the realization was that eugenics is not good enough. The survival of the fittest is not good enough. You have to actually think about public health. That was the start of public health. So what is COVID-19 going to cause as a change? Right? I believe that it's going to be a reimagination of public health care, with India showing the way for achieving universal health care with frugality. And I think this is our Viksit Bharat opportunity to actually be able to create something that in some sense becomes a new model for particularly the lower middle income countries. I think the West has you know, a lot of legacy systems, so it will be difficult for them to switch. But I think we are at a stage where we can switch and we can show others how to switch. And just think about a few things that happened during the pandemic. Right? India actually saw a huge shift in its capabilities in diagnostics. Whether it was the COVID self-tests that were developed, the rapid antigen tests that you could buy for, what, 200 rupees, 150 rupees from Amazon or, you know, Flipkart or whatever, and test yourself at home. You know, or you know, the TrueNat RT-PCR system that was developed by MolBio, that racks of these systems were set up in airports like Goa, where everybody before they actually boarded a flight were tested and were certified to board the flight, right? You know, within a couple of hours. You know, there was a change in technology, and in fact, this was so successful that MolBio became the first unicorn, right? That came out of the diagnostic space in India, you know, post the pandemic. Right? And all kinds of other innovations happened, including the Feluda, CRISPR tests, the various types of you know, tests for surveillance, wastewater testing, and so on, including some of the work that we did. Think about the vaccines and the vaccine development. Of course, everybody, you know, talks about mRNA vaccines and so on, nucleic vaccines, but also think about the Indian vaccine, Covaxin, which was also developed in 11 months. And actually, you know, extraordinary that you could actually develop a vaccine from just knowing the sequence of the pathogen, maybe then capturing the virus from a positive sample, and then being able to build a vaccine from there. That was all done in a matter of 11 months. And if you look at historically how long it's taken to create vaccines from when the pathogen is discovered, you see with SARS-CoV-2, it's really just a dot compared with all the other pathogens, vaccines. So something happened with the pandemic, and something, it has allowed bio and tech bio in India to ramp up to a different level. The bioeconomy of India today is roughly about 162 billion. So it's not small, and it'll continue to grow. I think the challenge that the Prime Minister has put to the industry is, I want you to get to 300 billion by 2030. So those are the, and so funding to Department of Biotechnology, BIRAC, ICMR, and so on has been channeled in such a way to try to get that acceleration. Genomics, our favorite topic, right? Of course, during the pandemic, we learned how to sequence and understand which strains were coming. It was, the first wave was Alpha, then it went to Delta, second wave, then you had Omicrons, and every week there was some new strain coming up, and you had to identify them. And India got up to being able to sequence maybe 8,000 samples in a week during this period. And you know, essentially we were able to track well enough to be able to inform public health authorities if a new strain was coming, and they could actually prepare the hospital beds, be ready with the infrastructure needed based on what was happening with these strains. So all of a sudden in India, Illumina made a lot of money, right? Because every hospital, every college was equipped with sequencing equipment to be able to track this. So there was enormous capacity building that happened during pandemic. On the data science and agentic biocomplexity in pandemics, again, a lot of new development. During the inaugural, I talked about COVID, the extraordinary infrastructure that was built. But we also did, for example, at my institute, at the Indian Institute of Science, we built a 13 million agent model to model the city of Bangalore, right? So 1 agent per citizen, and actually built an enormous agentic representation of the spread of infection across the city. And based on these simulations, we were advising the city war room, as it was called, on how to make containment zones and try to keep people safe, right? And these models are sort of the next generation of computational epidemiological models. Classical epidemiological models, which go back to Ross, were actually based on compartment modeling. But these agentic models give you much more flexibility to actually model the social interactions between individuals, right? And so bringing in the ability to model social interactions using data from Google on mobility, how people were moving around, and integrating all of that into these agentic systems became a new way of modeling in epidemiology. And so on, yeah. There was Arogya Setu, which was, app-driven information that you knew that in your neighborhood there were so many infections. And in states where there was good compliance, this was actually very effective. A lot of states didn't comply with actually downloading the Arogya Setu into their phones and so on. People were worried about privacy and things like that, which is natural. But states which did comply had very good use of some of these technologies. I think I talked a fair amount about COVID in the morning, so I'm not going to dwell on this, except to say that COVID actually suggests to us that this whole Aadhaar, UID, unique ID, citizen infrastructure now can be morphed into something for healthcare. And of course, the government is calling it Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, which is really how, which built on top of COVID now an entire infrastructure with IDs for each citizen called the Abha ID, which will actually try to orchestrate healthcare through this backbone. This backbone being our the COVID platform. ABDN is the name we should use now. So that's just point of thing. So as a result, when all of this had happened during the pandemic, a bunch of us got together, 25 to start with. It was called the Lancet Commission for Reimagining India's Health System. So we were engineers, we were physicians, we were public health experts, policy people, and so on. This report will come out at the end of this year. It's already submitted to Lancet for publication, we're just waiting for the date. And I'm going to give you some hints of what this report contains. We actually went into lot of detail on technology levers to, how am I doing for time? Is that okay? I'll take another maybe 10-15 minutes and then we can have some discussion. So what are technology levers? And of course we have to look at various aspects of innovation, human resources, digital public goods, and even techno-legal infrastructure. Because once you get into the health space, you're worried about privacy, you're worried about sensitive data. This could affect insurance, it could affect employment. So you have to build in that techno-legal infrastructure into the platforms. Right? So that was the thought process here. You can't reimagine India's health system without actually understanding it. This slide is far too difficult to read, but just to know that we have 1 million ASHA workers in this country. Now, how can we have, we internally we have a little phrase, we call it the Trinity factor. Those of you, you've all seen Matrix. Remember, Trinity has to operate a helicopter, right? And in the middle of the action, and she gets a download. She operates the helicopter, right? Now, can you imagine that if you could give these downloads in some form? It could be a small YouTube video tutorial. An ASHA worker could be checking if some baby has sickle cell disease. Yeah, it's not inconceivable. I think we really have to think through how to reimagine, and then things are possible. But we have a health system, we have health infrastructure. We're not utilizing it efficiently. And of course, you are very fortunate here with an extraordinary hospital, extraordinary facilities here. But the rest of the country sometimes has to struggle. So we actually went out and did a citizen survey. We actually talked to people, about 50,000 people, all over the country. It was all orchestrated through IIM Bangalore, through their field programs and several programs, and through the citizen survey, we started understanding how people thought of using digital technology. Okay. Just to give you a sense, access to medicines through e-pharmacies, 48,572 of those 50,000 have actually used e-pharmacies. Right? So, use of technology today by the citizen, I think, is at a different level, and we all know that. We see how GPay, or UPI, or PhonePe is used to transact, right? And how people are comfortable doing that. And of course, the penetration of smartphones and so on is not complete yet, but you can always find somebody, a neighbor, somebody who has a smartphone, and do your transactions. And some aspects can be done with just a feature phone. So this, we are getting. We've also did a study with healthcare providers, and this was a fairly well orchestrated study. This was done through St. John's Research Institute and Harvard's Mittal Institute, which provided some of the funding, and the National Health Authority, and just to again go around talking to stakeholders, being patients and caregivers, community health workers, doctors, nurses, administrators. Okay. And longitudinal medical records were, called out as one of the important high priority for physicians. Because, I think when a patient walks in and, they are not able to tell you, or their caregivers are not able to tell you, what tests they've already done, what is already known, what was their previous medical history. That's a challenge. And so they have to treat without having all that information. If technology could provide those longitudinal medical records, that could make a huge difference. Okay. And this is just an technology problem. These are electronic records which have to be maintained and health exchanges so that when you move from one system to another, the data flows. For community health workers, they wanted point of care devices, right? The better you could give them point of care devices, the more they could help the communities that they were working in. Because there had been a level of trust that had been during COVID between communities and community health workers, so on, which I think now needs to be leveraged to take this to a whole new level. But in order for them to do that, they can't be just seen as people writing in the notebook what is the weight of the baby. They have to be equipped with the tools to be able to actually do more. This is a busy picture, but we can see that lots of different types of technologies and digital health ecosystem is already building across the country. These are just some examples from other countries as well. Just because we want to know what global practices are. But in Brazil, they found that almost a 40% increase in just increasing primary care physicians didn't actually have much of an impact, right? Whereas in places like Thailand, they found that health workers outperformed other types of what we think of as health professionals. So there are some examples that we can build on, and like how health workers have been able to provide effective healthcare across, let's say, Alaska, because it's very difficult for them to access physicians. So anyway, this has led us to think through very carefully how that next level of healthcare can be taken. I'm just going to wind up with a few quick thoughts here. The other aspect that always fascinated me as a computational biologist was twins. Why is it so complicated to actually be able to model, biological systems, and be able to actually see? When we make a VLSI chip, we simulate. We make a design, we simulate it, and then we know whether it works or not. Right? So the engineering practice is to, when you design, is to use the computer, simulate, and go to fabrication only when you're pretty sure that the design works. Right? When you build an aeroplane, you don't just build an aeroplane and see if it crashes. You simulate the entire system, and very, very carefully, and then go to fabrication and testing, and only after that. Why can't we do that in biology? That was the question looked at. And so, for example, people said drugs fail because the liver shows toxicity. Most of the time. 50% of the new molecular entities, NMEs, they fail in trials because of liver toxicity. So can we actually build a computer simulation of the liver to be able to predict if the new molecular entity is going to be actually toxic? And so we actually went ahead and started building these networks. They were cascaded dynamical systems. You had 200 ordinary differential equations modeling fluxes in the liver network. And eventually this led to a platform which a digital twin of a liver for predicting toxicity of cholestasis, necrosis, and steatosis, which are the three major toxicity issues. And today it's, we built it in collaboration with the Central Drug Research Institute in Lucknow, but now it is acquired by Biocon, Syngene, and it actually runs in their facility. And this was, patented in the US and so on. It's a pretty, it took us 10 years to build this at Strand, and we handed it off. Okay. Genomics has been another extraordinary development where, now you can sequence a baby. And in fact, I used to come here quite often to talk to Dr. Baliga, who runs the neonatal ICU unit here. An extraordinary facility, one of the best in the country. And he says about 20% of the cases he's almost sure are genomic. And if we could do sort of rapid sequencing and identify what is the genetic cause, also some pharmacogenomic information, they could. So today we are getting there. And this is part of how we built our augmented intelligence stack. Those days, 2004 or 5, when we started working on all of this, we didn't have deep learning. We didn't have all of these advanced AI techniques. So we actually built a natural language processing engine that could go and read all of PubMed, all of Medline, and actually create the knowledge framework we put into our platform, which we call Strandrooms, and do our analysis. There we go. I'll start to do this manually. The cost of genome sequencing, as I was saying, is another exponential law. Right? I was telling you it stays. That was the tipping point that people felt that once you get to that state, you're going to see explosive applications. And today, with the Chinese-made MGI machines, you are at $1. If you buy from Illumina, you're still in India with our tariffs and taxes and all those things. We're at about $2.50 with as much optimization as you can do. But it's not bad, right? To be able to do 1 gigabase at $2.50 means that for about 200 rupees, you're getting a whole gigabase of information. For example, for many tests, you could run them now for a few thousand rupees. What used to cost 50,000, 1 lakh for genomic testing now is down to a few thousand. So our extraordinary technology leader, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, came to us and said, I want to democratize genomics. I want to take this to population scale. Will you help us do this? So Strand is now part of the Alliance. And today we offer things like whole exome sequencing with counseling at 145. And of course, Mr. Ambani has an interesting way of looking at these things, and he says that's too much. This has to be 999 rupees. It can't be less than, it can't be more than that. Right? You have to use this technology to use it. And, these are good challenges to have for technologists to work on. So, and it's not. I mean, this challenge is being thrown also with resources, right? And resources to do the R&D to actually make some of this possible. And today, you can get a CAR-T for a cancer patient, a chimeric antigen receptor therapy in China for $10,000. You can get it in India for $40,000. The same thing costs $1 million in the US. All these things are possible. Also because we have scale, we have population. So this is our cancer spot test that has come out, which is using DNA methylation to actually detect cancer early, and this is now, available from Strand, and it's at a price point of about 15,000. This is what we are down to 999. I mean, annual checkups and so on. So for high-risk populations, hopefully these things will start giving you early detection of cancer. The whole point is, if you can detect cancer in stage 1, stage 2, the point of need testing, this is the work I'm doing now with the next startup, which is CRISPR. Here we're looking at things like Salmonella, carbapenem resistance, biomiru kind of stuff, sickle cell anemia, to be able to actually diagnose these with just think of the COVID self-test. Except these are not antigen tests, these are not protein tests, which are not very accurate. These are actually confirmatory nuclear. Right? And if you can provide these with the ease of a COVID self-test, but actually do it at point of care and give the results within an hour or so. For AI and imaging, medical imaging, this is with ICMR, we are creating gold standard data sets so that AI algorithms, new ideas that you guys come up with as part of your projects, you would have benchmark data sets of Indian patients, from medical imaging data sets to be able to calibrate your algorithm. This is something we have never had well organized in this country. Individual hospitals and so on may have collected some data, but no one has actually fully curated it, certified it. So ICMR agreed that this was a good idea, so we've been working on this. ISC is sort of the custodian of the data. We're also using federated systems, but in some sense you can still access the data. National accredited hospitals now have actually come out with EMR systems. Koita initiative, the Koita Foundation from IIT Bombay has now spread all over the country, and these systems are being standardized as well. I'm an advisor to the Koita Foundation. Finally, I think we all have to take a deep breath and realize that something has happened in China. I think I call this a Sputnik moment, because in 1957, when Russia did something that sort of shocked the Western world, that was the Sputnik moment. They were the first in space. In mathematics, when Soviet mathematicians so that linear programming could be solved in polynomial time. That was called the mathematical Sputnik. And suddenly, the US establishment got excited. What came out of that was actually Narendra Karmarkar's work at Bella, which was actually more efficient than this Soviet algorithm. So actually, America sort of went ahead in responding. And then you get the DeepSeek movement early this year, which actually now says China is doing some very incredible foundational model, which is about as good as anything else. Now, it's not just that they've built the foundational models, but they've used the foundational models to do drug discovery. And today, actually, 31% of all major pharma deals that happened last year actually were all molecules that were generated in China. So there is, it's a time to wake up and say that there are things that we should be rapidly following. AI augmented molecular diagnostics is racing forward. AI nucleic medicines, mRNA, DNA therapies, defining a new future, right? Digital twins of organ systems and genomic profiling will help us with in silico acceleration of drug discovery, AlphaFold, the watershed, design of proteins around the corner. So many startup companies now driving AI, using AI to drive, looking at new molecules, particularly proteins. Systems immunology, as I mentioned, the next frontier in quantum systems biology. And I think the secret to unlocking the power of our ancient traditional health practices, so Ayurveda and so on, I think, but it's only when you look at it as a system that you will understand the power of traditional knowledge system. And then, of course, gene therapy and so on. So I think the punchline I want to leave you with is that humility is called for, right? The mystery of life is still a challenge. Although we are able to do a lot, continue to do a lot, I think, we still need to refrain from saying, the AI doctor is here, right? And so on. If you do that, I'm afraid another AI winter is in store for us. We have to be a little careful how we challenge the health system. I just wanted to end that my knowledge of healthcare and the people I bounce off ideas with is none other than your own Dr. Ram Narayan from Manipal. And Kurian Joseph, who is one of India's leading gynecologists in Chennai. Suresh Sesadri, who runs Mediscan, probably one of the leading ultrasound genetics, medical genetics leads that group in Chennai. So we all grew up together, classmates in high school. So they've been tremendously helpful. I had an idea and I want to talk about. And I would urge you to read this book by Robert Wachter, The Digital Doctor. It's 10 years old, but it still has a lot of gems in it. I think the problem with newer books is that they all are very hunky-dory about AI. You do need a grounding in what actually medicine can do. I mean, Atul Gawande's quote there on the cover says, well told and eye-opening. I kept thinking exactly while reading it. Now, as you know, Gawande was actually funded by Amazon, by Jeff Bezos, to actually start a whole AI and health initiative. And finally, that didn't go anywhere. So I think it is, it's good to think hard about, how far you can take this AI. So I'll end there. Thank you very much. I don't know if I've left enough time for Q&A, but
any questions from the audience?
You mentioned about India being the leader in frugality. You used the word frugality.
yeah. Oh, frugality, yeah, I mean, in some ways, I think about the fact that, I have to be a little careful here, we are the pharmacy of the world, right? I think it's clear that almost, one in a small number, maybe 2 or 3 medicines consumed in the world is actually manufactured in India. How much do you think India actually makes in terms of the fraction of pharmacy, drug-related revenues? It's 5%. So that's a measure of frugality. We are the pharmacy of the world, and we are charging only 5%. Right? There would be counter arguments saying you're making generics, you're not making innovative drugs, and therefore, as I said, we have Turkey at 40,000 rupees. I mean, at 40 lakhs. Today, it's something that costs $1 million, and that is not generic. That is actual innovation. Professor Rahul Purwar from ImmunoAct, IIT Bombay, has actually developed with Gaurav Naruda at Tata Memorial. It's all patented, it's all published, it's novel. So I think look at Wembu and what he's done with Zoho. And he calls it dharmic capitalism. We have to think that perhaps we have to decolonize our minds. We have to think that Western capitalism may not be the answer for the way we operate. And I think, let me just leave it at that, but I think the main reason why frugal engineering works in India is because of scale. Just think about it, the fact that you have the world's most populous country means you have extraordinary scale possibilities. In 2003, when we were considering converting the computer, the handheld computer, into a smartphone, the cost of mobile communication in India was the highest in the world. Today's the lowest. How did that happen? I think we are not leveraging our scale. We are not leveraging our demographic dividend enough. And I think that's
That is dharmic capitalism.
no?
That is dharmic capitalism.
That is dharmic capitalism. Right. So, how many of you use Aratai? Not yet? Oh, a few have. Good. Yeah. So I shifted all my groups to Aratai. But let's give them some time, because I think Actually, Wembu wanted to release it in November. Unfortunately, Pradhan and Vaishnav, tweeted and put something on X, and everybody started joining. It went up 100-fold in one day. So the number of downloads. So they are struggling a bit, but it's going to be built into a real platform. It will be like, it's not just message. It will be like WeChat. If you think about WeChat, I don't know if any of you have experienced in China how people use WeChat. They do their UPI with it. They do their health records with it. It's not just a chat. WeChat, W-E-C-H-A-T. I was using it till about 3-4 years ago, and I think, because of our border disputes, the government of India has banned it. So after that, I haven't used it. But I used to talk to my friends in China with WeChat. Pretty solid platform even by then. But now every citizen for everything. Right? So I've talked to some of our Indian students who have gone there to study in China. It is, so that's the kind of platform RTI will be. Right? And it'll be free, it'll be affordable, it'll be everything that frugality implies.
So, sir, thank you, sir, for your insightful, thought-provoking keynote. And you covered most of the topics related to digital twins, genomics, biological advancements, etc. So, surely you are provoke and it will take our audience to the next level. Thank you. Now, I request Dr. Manohar Pai, Senior Professor, School of Computer Engineering, to introduce our next keynote speaker, Mr. Jain.
Very good afternoon to every one of you. We have the next keynote address by Mr. Jayant Lakavalli. He is going to speak on industrial AI applications and sustainability. Mr. Jayant Lakavalli is the Vice President AI Solutions from Schneider Electric Digital. He's from Bangalore. To tell more about Jayant Lakavalli, I would like to tell first about the Schneider Electric Mahe collaboration. Mahe and Schneider Electric have been collaborating for last 13 years. Since 2013 we have been collaborating, and we have established nearly four laboratories in MIT Manipal, and many students passed out from Manipal. We have many research collaborations. And Jayant Lakavalli is one of the strong research collaborator, and moreover, Jayant Lakavalli is a stakeholder leader for AI solutions and is responsible for development, delivery, and maintenance of AI solution across the Schneider Electric group. For your information, Schneider Electric is a global multinational corporation with the $38 billion revenue. Put dollar, maybe I have to increase another 20%. So 38 billion euro of business they do, and in India they have nearly more than 50 companies, including Luminous, American Power Corporations, APC, then L&T Electricals, and many more companies are there. So Manipal is actually collaborating with multiple such units of Schneider Electric as part of our collaboration. So, Jayat Lakwalli is MS in Computer Science and Engineering from the University of Texas, Arlington. And of course, he is a Bachelor of Engineering from University of Mysore. His broad technical and global management experience for over 25 years in the areas of AI and ML, software product development and testing and quality engineering, and customer support primarily in healthcare, telecommunication, industrial and energy management domains. So in his prior role at Schneider, he was Director of Global R&D for the Industrial IoT line of business. During that time, we actually established one of the laboratories which is there in the academic block 5 in the 3rd floor. So he has also spent 13 years with the GE Healthcare in various leadership roles, primarily in healthcare software platforms, including the role as a software platform leader for Predix for healthcare IoT platform. So he is a people leader with the ability to build, sustain and engage diverse teams. He has multiple industry academia collaborations in the United States as well as in India. So with this small introduction, I request Jayant Lakwalli to deliver a keynote address.
Yes, it is. Well, that was not a small introduction, but thank you very much. It was quite elaborate, and thank you very much for the introduction.
Thank you.
So before I proceed, right, I once again want to thank a few people. First of all, it's an honor to be here in Manipal. Every time I come, I'm surprised. The ecosystem that you all have built is just absolutely amazing. I think Dr. Harish was saying it was probably the largest multi-disciplinary university in India. Okay, and it doesn't, it takes a long time to build an ecosystem, but it also needs the kind of people to build something that is always evolving, right? So every time I come, there is always something new. So this is fantastic. So once again, great to be back here. And before I go, I want to thank the conveners of this wonderful event. First of all, the School of Computer Engineering. I think you've taken all the effort to put this together. So this is fantastic. Firstly, Dr. Kishore, Dr. Radhakrishna Bhatt, and also Dr. Deepa and Dr. Anup. I think, and the rest of the conveners, you all made it happen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then, of course, I'm forgetting other names, but thank you all for inviting me. And last but not the least, Dr. Radhika Madam. We work with her very closely with many of our industry academia partnerships, and probably more so. And of course, last but not the least, Dr. Manohar Pai, Senior Professor. We have been close friends for quite some time, and also, we talk business. So it's not just about friendship. We have had some amazing collaborations together. So I was asked to present about AI adoption in the industry, and I'm following close suit with Dr. Vijay, who did an amazing, Dr. Vijay was taking pictures of some of the things you showed me, because many of these I was not aware. So a wonderful speech, by the way. So today I want to focus on AI adoption in the industry in general, okay? But a little bit more on generative AI, a little bit more on manufacturing, what Schneider does, and a little bit more on what my colleague Maud and I do every day. So we actually enjoy going to work. We develop a lot of cool new AI solutions every day, and I would like to share that with some of you. Okay? So yesterday, I was asking my friend ChatGPT, using Microsoft Copilot, is AI really the future, or is it in the present?
and that's what it said. AI is both the present and the future, and that's what makes it so powerful and transformative. Do you all agree? I think so. Right? So AI is definitely in the present, and what I want to do is quote some examples of where it is actually being used in the industry today. Okay, so that means you have AI solutions out in the market, potentially scalable. So every time all of you are thinking about AI, think about how we can scale. That's very, very important. And we heard about scaling, especially in India, quite a few times here. So where do we use it? So I don't quote the regular examples. I looked for some interesting examples within various industries. So given that this is HINT 2025, I want to start with, of course, healthcare, where I spent some time as well. And there are actually a couple of companies that are doing phenomenal job. One is Tempest.ai, and that's actually a Chicago-based company. And the founder of this company actually comes from personal experience. His wife was diagnosed with cancer, and based on his relationship with some of the key hospitals, they were able to get data. They use AI to analyze genomic and molecular data, very, very close to what the previous pitch was. And then they make treatment decisions. So these solutions are out in the market. They have been adopted in hospitals and so on. Closer to, they are all, they're there in Bangalore. They actually use temperature maps on the chest for detecting anomalies, okay, which is interesting. And it's basically used for early detection of breast cancer. So fantastic work that is happening. And of course, we're still very much an agrarian economy. So there is a lot of agriculture that happens in India. And there are, very, very, very cool startups that are actually doing AI right here in India, okay? And I listed two of them. Fuzzle is basically an AI model for all the automated monitoring of the agricultural crops. This is, I don't think this is in mass production yet, but it is certainly out there, okay? And then there is the cropping where it's, you are geotagging everything in your farm, and then it is actually using to improve the farm efficiency. And some of them are actually using this, okay? So AI is actually getting into the agriculture as well, okay? So this is very, very cool, and most of these examples are very close to home, by the way. These assets come into mind. The first one is predictive maintenance. Second is quality control. Third is efficiency. So every day that we go to work, we deal with assets within Schneider. So Schneider Electric, for those of you who want to know what it is, we supply electrical equipment in its foundation, in its fundamental. We supply electrical equipment and automation or control systems to industries. That's what we do. But it's very fundamental. So what does that actually mean? We supply everything from switches like this to transformers, all the way to transformers, and to all kinds of industries. And then, and also, by the way, buildings, large buildings like Manipal, some of the buildings that you have built. And then also, we make sure that it is energy efficient. For I think 3 or 4 years in a row, Schneider Electric has been voted as the most sustainable company in the world. Okay? So that means our bread and butter is energy efficiency. Okay? So in AI, in the manufacturing world, right, these are the 4 key areas that AI is actually being used for. So when you go back and look at what you have done outside, in many of the things, you will actually potentially find everything in these 4 categories. Okay, and so many of the industries, especially in India, right, they have actually started adopting AI, right on their shop floors. Tata Motors, JSW Steel, Schneider, Bharat Forge, Unilever, all of them have adopted multiple AI in multiple of these areas, but very few are actually coordinated. So there is no end-to-end AI solution that tackles this whole gamut. So this is something that you want to keep in mind, maybe in your research programs. How do we actually do it? You'll find very rare examples. One example, which probably you would not have thought about, is the mining industry. So in Australia, and not so much here, in Australia there is a large mining company called Rio Tinto. I don't know how many of you have heard of it. So what they do is, you have all heard about, autonomous vehicles, Google, operating in California. But what we know about Rio Tinto is they actually send the mining trucks from Perth, which is on the western Australian coast. So Australia is basically probably 1.5 times the size of India, right? So it's very large, and it's only 20 million population. So that's like 60% of Mumbai's population. That's it. Okay. So in the middle of Australia is a big desert, and most of their mines are located in the middle. So in fact, when you actually head east from Perth, it says your next food and gas station is 2,000 kilometers away. So there is absolutely nothing. Okay, so they send these autonomous trucks by themselves, nothing. Okay, with robots, and then when it gets to the mining areas, it actually starts mining. So, and by the way, they have to build safety systems. There is nobody. You should not assume that there is nobody on the way. Rio Tinto actually went and mined in an area which was originally an area for inhabited by Aborigines. Okay, and then they had to pay a 200 million Australian dollar fine. So they got smarter. So their entire chain of manufacturing, all the way from digital mining to autonomous trucks, are actually being done. So you would never think a mining industry would be ahead, right? So and so many of the companies are catching up, but manufacturing is a very, very, very important area where AI is used. Then finally, right, what do we do in Schneider? Okay, so this is what Maud and I do every day. Okay, we work on really cool stuff, to be honest with you. And of course, at some point, we would like all of your young minds to work on some of these projects or join us in the company. So I said, there are two main areas that we focus on with all of our assets. The first area is predictive maintenance. So we have a lot of assets, and when we sell these assets to customers, they want to make sure it doesn't break down. I mean, these are massive equipment. I'll give you an example. We give electrical equipment to data centers, Microsoft, Google, and everything. And they have breakers, switches. Data centers are like mini cities, okay? And when something breaks down, they don't know what to do. They are AI experts. Google is an AI expert, right? They have developed multiple foundation models. But when their data centers break down, who do they come to? They have to come to us. So predictive maintenance, when the equipment, what is the lifespan of an equipment? How AI can actually determine the lifespan of an equipment or an asset is one of our bread and butters. Okay. The second thing is energy optimization. We ensure that there is reduction in energy costs, reducing the carbon footprint on many of our assets. One of the examples that we have quoted here is Microgrid Advisor, but we also have that in your homes. So there's a product called Visor and other products related to smart homes. And the concept of smart homes is not doing something cool, switching on the fan. That's not the point. But is the energy efficiency it will actually create. Okay. And the last one, which we released very just about a month ago, is it's really hot and humid outside, and we are all very cool inside. So the magic of your HVAC works inside the AC. What we have developed for small buildings, including an auditorium like this one, is a dynamic HVAC optimization. Okay, so based on whether it is, if it's sunny outside, it looks at 8 or 9 different parameters, weather forecast and everything, to actually adjust the temperature. Okay, and then in the future, we are also going to use that to make sure that if there is any issues with your HVAC system, it is automatically able to detect. So it's starting to be used in small, medium-sized offices, in hotels, and many of these other areas. So this is a little bit of an area of what we work in Schneider every day. Really, really cool projects. There are a lot of other things that also happen since we are a common group that actually builds AI solution across the group and all. Okay? So what, I talked about a lot of these solutions, right? So what is, one of the things that you have noticed here is that many of the AI solutions today that are actually operational are all in classical ML. The examples that I showed you are all classical ML, deep learning, machine learning algorithms. So today in the world, AI, when you talk about AI and talk about AI adoption, it is still very much the traditional data science and ML that is actually working. So what is this huge thing that we have here called generative AI? What is it? Is it really working? And I mean, you guys will ask ChatGPT a question, it will give you a smart answer, but beyond that, is it really working? What do you think? There's huge investments in Gen AI, right? So is it really working? See, I'm talking about adoption in the industry, making money. Is it used for humanity? Is it working? Right? So let's find out. Okay, so where is it used in the industry? Where will it be used in the future? Okay, and what are the challenges? Okay, so let's see. So today, right? So I have a few slides that were shown by Gartner. So this is their slides, but it's out in the open. You can access it. But today, this is where we are with generative AI. Okay, so we, our investments are increasing, but really our application in which it is being used is still yet to start. Okay, I'll give you a little bit more example, but what we see with generative AI is coming ahead. Okay, so so today, if you are using a lot of LLMs, and I saw a lot of projects on LLMs, it's really not adding the kind of value that you would think. But look at the future. That's where we want to start leveraging generative AI very well. Okay, so let's see how industry is actually looking at generative AI, right? So industry is looking at generative AI in these 3 aspects. One is defend. Okay, so they are basically defending their territory by doing some incremental innovations. Okay, by something doing very, very fast. So there are already tools out there. Microsoft Copilot. On the back end of Microsoft Copilot Studio is your ChatGPT. Okay, so people are using it personally to help them as an assistant. They are also using Apple Intelligence, Google Gemini, and all of these. But the gain is marginal. It's very, very marginal. There is no return on investment or anything. It is for your personal benefit or some micro investment. Okay, let's go back. So the second business case for everybody is the extend. Okay, And this is where generative AI is being used and will go more, especially in marketing, customer service, and sales. Here, the return on investment for the company is very minimal, but it's still adding a lot of value. It is helping your customer service agents. It is helping your marketing to sell more products. It is helping your marketing to make unique value propositions to products. This is the area where companies are really using generative AI. And then in the, this is where we want to get to, and this is what, Dr. Vijay also talked about, is append. That means you are actually creating new products based on Gen AI. We're not there yet, okay? That's the next step in that model that you saw where we are going to go on. And so, as I told you before, the most popular use cases in the industry for generative AI are in these areas. Today, if you build something in this area, it is almost immediate returns. Market customization, operations, optimization, and customer service. These are the three main areas in the industry where generative AI is actually adding a lot of value. Okay? And it's delivering medium impact, like I told you. And the deployments are not too complex. The Gen AI does the work for you. The only thing you have to do is integrate it with something so others can use it. Correct? So deployment is very simple. And then there is also other areas where you can start doing it. I think many of you are, I'm assuming many of you are from the computer engineering background, right? So your design, your code development, I'm pretty sure you're starting to use GitHub Copilot and some of these other tools, right, to assist you in software engineering. So that's another area where things are moving very quickly. Okay, so this is how the industry is seeing, and some examples on these first three areas. You can see I'm not going to talk about it, but in general, in marketing, when I have to sell a product, I want a unique value proposition of a product. I can use AI, generative AI. I can use that for operations optimization, and then for customer support. Customer support, I would rank it as number one. You put all the troubleshooting manuals, user manuals, and everything into a repository, and then you use generative AI as a simple augment, with all this augmentation, and you are equipping your customer service with information on hand. Okay, so this is one of the, and even in Schneider Electric, our most successful use cases like here and are going here. So, where will it be used in the future? And we're not very far away. We have already started using this. So one is multi-domain, multimodal. So that means today we're still not able to ingest data beyond NLP. If you give a combination of videos and images and documents, our current LLMs are okay. In fact, if you show an LLM today the image of Taj Mahal, or take a picture, look at some of your pictures that you have taken a long time ago, but you don't recognize where you have taken them. Can Gen AI do that? Can Gen AI recognize that for you? If it is Taj Mahal, it will recognize. Okay? But if it is, let's say you have taken it in one of the Manipal valleys, try to see if it recognizes. Right? So there's a lot, that's a very simple example that I gave you. But in general, the advancement of multimodal Gen AI has not happened. And in fact, that is where we are struggling. That's where we want to also collaborate with you, right? How do you want to take it to the next level? The second one, really important. And this will answer the question, will AI take your jobs away? The answer is right there. Domain specialized SLMs. what is it? Okay, language models. Today, all of your LLMs are generic. How's the weather in Istanbul, Turkey? Excellent reply. I want to plan a vacation? Great. But when you ask something about precision medicine, will it reply? It's not trained, right? So when we work, today when we work in any company on AI, we have the AI experts, the generative AI and other experts, classical ML experts. But if they ask us to build something on energy efficiency for a circuit breaker, right? We have no clue. We have to involve the domain experts. Even when we hire, as Schneider, when we come and do the hiring in Manipal, do we only take computer engineers? No. We take mechanical, we take mechatronics, we take electronics, and all the engineers. Because of course we are not a traditional software company, but the point is, domain expertise is critical for AI to function. If you don't have that, what's this? Even software, right? You're not going to know what you're going to build, right? So tomorrow, these domain-specific small language models and large language models, or a combination of both, will be the future. And then the last one is agentic AI. Okay, and agentic AI, I would say, is not the new kid on the block. It's like a new sibling on the block. Okay. It's really good because agents are autonomous. They are known. One thing you can associate agents is action. So they are able to sense, they are able to predict, and they are able to respond with some action. So when you start to develop all these multi-agentic framework and agents to do autonomous work continuously, it is certainly something that is in the near future. Okay. So this is what I just talked about. I won't go through this slide again, but these are the future for generative AI, and something for all of you to watch out for, right? When you're doing projects, and we can clearly say in these two areas, SLMs and multimodality, we have actual problem statements that have not been solved. Okay. So what are the problems? Why is it not successful today? Let's see. Okay. So I categorize, the issues that we have with generative AI in two categories. Why we are not successful. The first one is, you have heard of this very much. AI is as good as the data that you have, right? So what does that actually mean? First is data access. So one example for you is Google basically said, if I use Chrome, I will develop an agentic framework, okay? And then you can just order something on Amazon, and everything from ordering, going to payment system, coming back, so with one click of a button, I can pretty much place my previous order and it comes out, right? And they said they will make it available to consumers. Even today, it has not happened. Why is that? The reason for that is data access, right? Will they get automatic access to your payment system? I don't know. Second thing is, if it is manual today, you have to go to Google and you will put a product on it and you will search. There is already advertising revenue. Then you will go to one of the URLs. You will come back to Google and you will do another search. There is advertising revenue there. When you make it completely autonomous, even their advertising revenues will decrease. So the big challenge for us is good quality data and data access. This is what is preventing Gen AI to go to the next level. It prevents AI to go to the next level, but Gen AI even more so. And the next thing is, for most of the industry, AI is still a nice to have. We're gonna use AI to do something incremental. It's nice to have. We have a product, but it would be nice to have an AI. And nobody is really thinking about AI. I mean, I wouldn't say nobody. The industry is now getting into the mode of AI-driven strategy. So until we get there, we will still have issues with generative AI adoption. Okay? So that was about generative AI. The last topic I have is AI, data, and data centers and sustainability. They're all related, and I think you already know. I will talk about this. So why data centers? Why is it close to what we do? For Schneider Electric, our biggest revenue comes from supplying equipment to data centers. So, and this is like 25–30% of the revenue. And it has a direct impact on sustainability. So one of the things that we always forget about AI is, we are all afraid of AI, right? We think that AI can, do amazing things, but it can also destroy. But there's another thing that you also have to think about, and that is how sustainable is AI. So I'm not gonna, I don't have answers to all the questions, but I have data to show you. And it's something for all of us to ponder. That's it, okay? So some data, right? AI model complexity. What is the parameter size? What is the database size of every action that you do? And some of these are very close to what we do in Schneider. Default prediction for a motor management system. Okay? And we are just using data from a sensor. That's it. And we are determining the output from it. If you do that, the number of parameters is about 1,000, and the number of, the data set size is about 10,000. This is like an average. Okay. Next, in the industry you have seen this, right? There's a camera, there's a moving thing, and we are doing product quality based on vision, right? What is the impact of that? Just look at the number of parameters. 10 million. Number of data set size 100 million. So the next time you ask for generating an image on ChatGPT, think about that. Okay. Last one, a writing assistant. This is your generative AI, LLMs and other things. All you have to do is to change that M to a B and multiply by 10. Okay. So when you use generative AI, this is your average data set. So if you are doing these activities, then what is the size of your GPUs? Your hardware, obviously you need more. You need more compute, right? So this is your typical data center. I just drew a diagram. It is like a city. Okay. The giga data center. So you have you have the big central part, which is the servers and the racks, and there is hundreds and thousands of racks. It consumes a lot of energy. It consumes a lot of compute. And to cool that, you have chillers, you have cooling towers, and you have water. So when you do liquid cooling, you need water storage. Okay, and then you are sucking energy from your utility. And just to go back on what is needed for a data center, typically your energy usage and cost. We deal with all of them as our customers. We deal with people that actually develop AI platforms, and who are those? Google, Microsoft. These are AI. They are involved in AI development. Okay. And for this, look at the size of the GPUs that is actually used and the power it actually consumes. And then you have these other people, industry, which are more AI augmenters. Okay, so that means they do a little bit of development, but mainly they use augmented data to find their solutions. Some of you, talked about RAG and LLMs. That's these guys. Okay, and then there are some users, and many of you, Manipal, Mahe is a user. Okay, you still have to have your own infrastructure, and that's what your infrastructure looks like. Okay, it's manageable. So a small data center, 20 megawatts of electrical power. Medium data center, 50 to 70. A large data center is 100 to 500. And now we are talking about giga data centers. A giga data center will probably need energy that can power Manipal or even Udupi for that matter. Okay. The moral of the story is that as we move from traditional classical ML to generative AI to agentic AI, there is a cost, and the cost is the energy. Okay, so the investment on generative AI is incredible. So if you actually look at AI and data centers and how each year the investment is happening, this is what it is. It was 190 billion in 2023. I don't have 2024 numbers, but it is 485 billion dollars, $500 billion, just investment in AI, Gen AI, and data centers. What is the return that we are getting? We don't know, right? So again, not everything is bad. Huh? Not everything is bad, by the way. So in Schneider, we did a little bit of analysis on the solutions that we are doing. Is it actually sustainable? And before we go, the global energy production and electrical production in the planet is about 29. It's about 30,000 terawatt hour. So it's 1,000 times gigawatt hour. That's the overall energy production. And see how much we use in AI. It's still a very, very, very small part of it. Okay, it's gone from 460 to about 1,000 terawatt hour is what we use across the globe. So it's still a very, very small section of what the energy consumption of the world is. Okay, so it's still not too bad. But look at the way it is increasing though, and look at the way it is increasing because of the data centers. So it is starting to become an issue, but today it is still not an issue. But overall, in Schneider, we still build sustainable AI systems. I talked about microgrid, and in microgrid, this is the AI solution that we build. We invest in about 10 tons in carbon for a typical microgrid system, and there's about 0.2 tons of carbon dioxide emission. But because of the energy efficiency for the microgrid to power a small building or something, we are actually saving electricity. So it's not all bad. For AI systems today, the AI systems that we are building predominantly using traditional AI methods, not generative AI, or a combination, is still very, very energy efficient. Here is another example that I gave you of building management system. If I'm able to move, okay. The heating and cooling, the HVAC systems and building management system, still very, very sustainable for us. But where we get into issues is as we start to move into generative AI. So for all of you, this is something that you have to ponder. How sustainable is AI? Will we improve? We will improve, by the way. We will always find a solution. Okay? And then finally, right, the way we started this session, I'm going to end the session. I asked this question to our friend. Who's our friend? ChatGPT. So let's see what they say. It says something, but the bottom line is, yes, there are challenges, there are solutions, and these are actually pretty good solutions. And then eventually, the industry will strike a balance. Okay? So, today there are questions about sustainability and AI, but I think the industry will eventually cope up with what we're doing. So this is all I had. Thank you very much, and I'm open to any questions if you have.
Any questions from the participants?
Yeah, so most of the solutions that we are building for microgrid is non-generative AI. So what we do is, for microgrid, typically we forecast. So forecasting is the big one, and then we optimize. So for example, let us take microgrid powering a small building or something, okay? Or a small village, for instance. We have to figure out what is the non-conventional source of energy, like solar, when we get off-grid. When we get on-grid, we know what the source is. When we get off-grid, when there is no power, do we have enough energy, do we have enough storage? And in many countries, there is dynamic tariff. So from 9 to 10 in the morning, it's more to use the electricity when we are on-grid. So it calculates everything to make us energy efficient. And other than basically AI assistants that we actually build with microgrid, it is all classical ML. It's all basically forecasting and optimization. So for all of you in data science, forecasting, optimization, critical for us. Other questions, other concerns about sustainability? I think we'll be outside, Ahmad and I will be outside. If you want to, check with us for any other questions, feel free to. We'll be happy to answer. Okay? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for giving an insightful talk on how Schneider is leveraging AI and adopting it in the industry. So thank you so much. We can now disperse for lunch. In the afternoon, we request all the participants to be on time for the keynote at 2. Thank you. Regarding the talk in the afternoon, as part of the HINT conference series, we have a keynote from 2, and there is Dr. T.M.Epa Endowment Chair talk in CSC Seminar Hall. So we request all the students and participants to be present for these 2 talks. Thank you.